Hey everyone, welcome to another deep dive.
Yes, hello.
Today we're taking a closer look at, well, moose.
Moose, it is.
We found this YouTube video, and I mean, look, who doesn't love learning about moose,
Really
right?
said it.
But this video had some really surprising facts that, well, let's just say I was fascinated.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I knew moose had big antlers, but like,
6 feet.
yeah, it's 6 feet. Can you imagine?
Full-grown man, just lying down.
Wow. And I had no idea they could weigh over 35 pounds.
More than a toddler.
It's wild. So I guess what I'm wondering is, are those antlers just for looks? Or
Yeah.
is there, like, a purpose to them?
Oh, they definitely serve a purpose. During mating season, the males, they use them to, well,
Fight!
yes, they fight for dominance.
So it's like a big antler clashing competition.
Exactly. It can get pretty intense.
I bet. Especially when you consider how huge ye moose. I mean, the video said they can weigh up to 700 kilograms.
It's more than a motorbike.
Seriously, imagine that much weight charging at you.
It's a force to be reckoned with. Okay, so all that size and strength, they've got to be eating a TON to keep going, right?
Oh, absolutely. Moose are herbivores, but they have a huge EE appetite.
Like, how much are we talking?
Up to 70 pounds of food every single day.
Whoa, and that's just in the summer, right?
They got to fuel up for the long winters.
So what are they munching on all day?
Mostly woody plants, shrubs, bark, things like that.
Okay, makes sense. But wait, the video mentioned aquatic plants too.
Ah, yes, moose are actually surprisingly good swimmers.
Really? I never would have guessed.
They can dive up to 6 meters deep to get to those underwater plants.
So they're like moose mermaids.
Uh-huh. And in a way,
That's amazing. I'm speaking of surprises. The video said they can run up to 56 kilometers an hour.
it's true, faster than Usain Bolt.
Seriously, I always pictured them as slow and lumbering.
They might look that way, but don't underestimate their speed.
Okay, I'm officially impressed. Big, strong, fast, and they can swim.
They're full of surprises.
So what else don't I know about moose? The video mentions something called a dewlap.
Oh, yes. The dewlap,
What is that exactly?
a flap of skin, hangs under a male moose's chin.
Like a chin beard.
Sort of. But it's not just for looks. It has a purpose.
Oh. Do tell?
Well, during mating season, males use their dewlap for scent marking.
So they're basically leaving their mark.
Exactly. It's all about attracting females and taking their territory.
It's like a built-in perfume dispenser.
You could say that.
Okay, so we've got these huge, strong, fast-swimming, chin-flapping creatures. Where can we find these amazing animals?
Well, if you're looking for moose, Canada is the place to be.
Canada. Really? What about, like, Alaska?
Well, you'll find them in Alaska, too.
Yeah.
But Canada has the largest moose population in the world.
Wow. How many are we talking?
Estimates range from 500,000 to 1 million moose just roaming around Canada,
That's incredible. So I always thought of moose as being kind of social animals.
like in big herds.
Yeah, like other deer.
That's actually a common misconception. Moose are mostly solitary.
Really? So they just wander around on their own?
Pretty much. Except during mating season, of course. Or when they have calves.
So it's a temporary family get-together, and then back to solo life.
Exactly.
Okay, so tell me more about those moose calves. What are they like?
Well, for starters, moose pregnancies are pretty long. Around 243 days.
Wow, that's almost as long as a human pregnancy.
It is. And they usually have 1 or 2 calves, sometimes even 3.
Ah, triplets. So how quickly do those little ones grow up?
They grow incredibly fast, up to
Mm-hmm.
1.5 kilograms a day.
Whoa, they're like little eating machines.
They have to be. They need to keep up with mom and will survive in the wild.
So what about those calves and predators? I mean, those antlers must take a while to grow in. How do they defend themselves?
You know, it's funny. You'd think those massive antlers would be their main weapon.
Right.
But actually, their primary defense is their hooves.
Their hooves, really?
Oh, yeah. Imagine getting kicked by a 700-kilogram animal with those sharp hooves.
Okay, I'm definitely not testing that theory.
It's a good idea to keep your distance.
So the antlers are more for show? Or like attracting mates?
Exactly. During mating season, they use their antlers to, well, spar with each other.
So it's all about showing off and impressing the ladies.
Pretty much. And speaking of those antlers, the video mentioned that they can actually be quite valuable.
Wait, seriously, like people buy and sell moose antlers?
You'd be surprised. There's a market for them.
That's fascinating. So something that's naturally shed can actually have economic value.
It's all about supply and demand.
Makes you think. Okay, so moving on. The video also mentioned moose meat.
Ah, yes. a traditional food for many cultures.
I remember reading that it's actually very nutritious.
It is. It's lean, high in protein,
Yeah.
and a good source of certain nutrients.
Sounds like a healthy option. I'm starting to see why moose are so important.
They really are fascinating creatures. And we've only just scratched the surface.
I know. This is amazing. Are you ready to keep going?
Absolutely. Let's dive even deeper.
So we're talking about how moose are such incredible swimmers. I still can't get over that.
It is pretty impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, how do they even manage it with those big bodies?
Well, it's not just about size and strength. They have a special adaptation that helps.
No. Like what?
Their nostrils. They actually act like valves.
Nostrils as valves. How does that work?
When a moose dives underwater, their nostrils close up tight
Yeah.
to keep the water out.
So it's like a built-in snorkel.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's how they can stay underwater for so long.
That's amazing. Okay, so we talked about swimming, but what about those freezing temperatures? The video said they can handle like negative 30 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, they're incredibly well adapted to cold climates.
But how? I mean, how do they stay warm?
Well, think about it. They have that thick skin
Right.
and a super dense coat.
So it's like their own personal winter jacket.
Exactly. It helps them trap heat and stay insulated, even in the most extreme conditions.
That's so cool. Nature is amazing. Speaking of which, the video mentioned the historical significance of moose for Native Americans in Alaska.
Yes, moose have played a vital role in their culture for centuries.
I'm really interested in that. What did they use moose for?
Well, moose provided them with food,
Of course.
clothing tools,
Yeah.
even shelter materials.
So basically, moose were essential for their survival.
Absolutely. They were a key part of their way of life.
It's incredible how interconnected humans and nature are, or at least used to be. It makes you think about how much we've lost.
It's true. We often take for granted how much we depend on the natural world.
And sadly, the video mentioned that overhunting in the past really hurt moose populations.
Yeah. It's a reminder that our actions have consequences.
But there are regulations in place now, right? To help protect them.
Yes. Thankfully, there are measures in place to help manage moose populations and prevent overhunting.
That's good to hear. Okay, so shifting gears a bit. Let's talk about those antlers again. Specifically, how they use them for defense.
Well, you might be surprised to learn that moose don't actually use their antlers for fighting. Not as their primary defense, anyway.
Really? But they're so big and pointy.
I know, right? But their main weapon is actually their hooves.
Their hooves. Seriously.
Oh, yeah. They can deliver a powerful kick with those sucks.
I bet. And with all that weight behind it.
Exactly. It can be enough to deter even large predators like bears and wolves.
Okay, I'm definitely not messing with a moose.
That's a good rule of thumb.
So the antlers are more for show.
You could say that they're mainly used for attracting mates.
Right, like during mating season when the males are all trying to impress the females.
Exactly. They use their antlers to spar with each other,
Yeah.
establish dominance.
It's all about who has the biggest and best antlers, huh?
Pretty much. And speaking of antlers, did you know they can be quite valuable?
Wait, what? Like people actually buy and sell moose antlers.
They do.
That's crazy. So even after they're shed, they still have value.
It's true. They're used for all sorts of things. Decorations, crafts, you name it.
Huh, that's really interesting. Okay, so last thing about moose meat. The video highlighted it as a good food source.
Right. It's a traditional food for many cultures, especially indigenous communities.
I know it's supposed to be very nutritious. High in protein, I think.
You're right. It's a lean meat, low in fat, and a good source of iron and other essential nutrients.
So it's healthy and sustainable.
You got it. Moose meat is definitely a valuable resource.
This is incredible. I feel like we're uncovering all these hidden secrets about moose.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Totally. I'm ready for more. What else have we got?
Well, let's move on to some final thoughts about these amazing creatures.
Okay, so we've talked about moose swimming, their crazy tolerance for cold, how they use their hooves for defense. It's amazing how much we've learned.
It really is. There's always something new to discover about nature.
Absolutely. And speaking of new discoveries, I learned something really interesting from the video. Did you know that female moose don't actually grow antlers?
That's right. It's one of the key differences between males and females.
Huh, I never knew that. So it's really just the males who have those big, impressive racks.
Exactly. And they use them for all sorts of things. Attracting mates, competing with rivals, establishing dominance.
I wonder, do you think that's why male moose are often targeted more by hunters? Because of their antlers?
It's certainly possible. Those antlers are seen as trophies by some hunters, so they might be more likely to target males specifically.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's a shame, though. because it disrupts the natural balance of the population.
You're right. It's important to have sustainable hunting practices
Yeah,
to make sure we're not harming the overall moose population.
absolutely. We need to protect these amazing creatures for future generations to enjoy.
I completely agree. And speaking of protecting moose, the video mentioned that the moose is Alaska's state animal.
Right, I remember that. It just goes to show how important moose are to that region.
Exactly. They're a symbol of Alaska's wilderness and natural beauty.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive. I feel like I've gained a whole new appreciation for moose, their adaptations, their behavior, their role in the ecosystem.
It's been a pleasure exploring the world of moose with you. They truly are fascinating creatures.
So, what are your final thoughts for our listeners? What should they take away from all of this?
I think the biggest takeaway is the importance of learning and understanding the natural world around us. There's so much beauty and wonder out there, and it's up to us to protect it.
I couldn't agree more. And to our listeners, we encourage you to keep learning about moose. Do your own research, visit a national park, support conservation efforts.
The more we know about these amazing animals, the better equipped we'll be to ensure their survival.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey into the world of moose. Until next time, keep exploring and keep those moose facts coming.